Welcome, everybody. There are three things I'll be talking about today. All right? We're going to start in 30 seconds. All right, let's get started. Hail, hail, hail this land of glory, we the Ambazonians who pledge our loyalty. Praise the Son, our Savior, who granted us the freedom, allegiance to the heroes who bore the land with their blood. Glory to the glory, we rise and never to fall. Yeah, in a nation flowing with milk and honey. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our needs. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our needs. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation. Good afternoon, my fellow Ambazonians. Good evening to those of you on ground zero. Good afternoon to those of you in North America. And good night to you, to those of you in Asia and the Middle East. Welcome. My name is Ashu. Today, there are three topics I would like to cover in order to help us to move this revolution to its intended path, to its intended conclusion, to what we all aspire and want. There are three topics I would like to talk about today. The first one is time for change or time time to change or time to perish. We have to make the choice. We either want change and progress or we want defeat. We have to make that choice. That's the first thing I'll be talking about. The second thing I'll be talking about is leadership lessons from Mancho, from Tassang, from Wirba, from Justice Ayah, from Balla, and how that will help us to move the revolution forward. And the last thing I'll be talking about is a message to IG's Restoration Council Chairman, and that is Mr. Elvis Kometa. So those are the three topics I have laid out today to discuss. My purpose of being here is that we can have an objective, constructive, inspiring conversation to move our revolution forward. That's the only reason we are here. I'm here to educate you. I'm here to have a conversation with you. I'm here for us to have an open, honest talk where there is no BS and there is no bullshit. So let's get started. By the way, share this message. Invite a friend to participate, because I'm not here to entertain you and I'm not here to get you to like me. I'm here to get us to have an open, honest conversation about what is going on. And if we like the direction with which this revolution is going, then we should continue. But if we don't like the direction with which the revolution is tilting towards, then it's time to make some radical changes. We can't do that unless we get really honest with ourselves. So let's get started with the first topic, which is Ambazonians. Time to change or time to perish. We have decided to embark on a revolution for our collective liberation. And this revolution, which is our collective freedom and liberation, it is not for someone. It is the people's revolution, which means it's your revolution, it's my revolution, it's our collective revolution. And therefore, it's collective effort, because at the end of the day, it will be for our collective freedom, all right? It won't be the freedom of a group or a leader or a particular part of Ambazonia. It will be for the liberation and freedom of the people of Ambazonia. 2 years down the road, we found ourselves where we have decided, hold on a second, please. We have decided to embark on a primary strategy, and that is self-defense. We've decided that self-defense is the way we can speak, we can communicate, we can articulate, we can resist, we can project ourselves for the dictator to listen, for the occupier to listen, for its masters to listen, for the world to listen, and for the international bodies to listen, because this is the language it seems as if they understand, they tend to respond to the most. So we've adopted self-defense. However, self-defense has been hijacked. Self-defense has become a political game. Self-defense has become a game of people's personal interest. It's no longer self-defense for the liberation of Ambazonia. It's no longer self-defense to free homeland. It's no longer self-defense to restore our independence. Self-defense has become a game of interest. Self-defense has become a game of who has power and who doesn't have power. Who can control, who can lead where, who can lead what, who has the voice and who doesn't have the voice. So the revolution has moved from the liberation of Ambazonia to the quest for who has more power, to the quest for who can lead, for the quest for who has a voice, to the quest of who is much more, who we like the most. So the liberation has moved. We have abandoned the revolution and gotten ourselves into a comedy, into a drama. We are no longer in the revolution, because now it's about which character I like, which personality I like, which role I like, which position I like, right? Which plot of the revolution I like. It's no longer a revolution to prosecute, to fight for the liberation of Ambazonia. It's no longer that. So we find ourselves where in less than 15 days, we've had 3 massive massacres on our foot soldiers. Why? And we are adamant about it. These are precious lives of our sons and daughters, of our fathers, our brothers, and some of our sisters that have decided to stand up for us all, to fight for us all, to protect our communities, to protect our parents, to protect our villages, our towns, and our cities. We failed them because we've turned the revolution into a competition for power. We've turned the revolution into a competition for political supremacy and the projection of power, because we have turned the revolution into personal interest as who's right and who's wrong, who has right to be in the revolution, who doesn't have right to be in the revolution. We put them in vulnerable situations, and we are losing a lot of people. I know that for most people, it is okay. For me, it is not okay, because I believe there are things we could have done. There are things we can do to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm not saying we are not going to lose life. We are dealing with a monster. We're dealing with a dictator. but in such a careless and senseless manner, there is something wrong. And we must correct it. We must get honest with ourselves that there is something we are doing that is fucking wrong, and we must change it. There is something we are doing that is not working, and we must change it before it's too late. There is something we are doing that is ineffective. There is something we are doing that is putting our people in a vulnerable position. There is something we are doing that is causing that. So it's either time to change, get honest that what we are doing is not working, what we are doing is ineffective, what we are doing is causing massive death and exposure of our people because we failed them, because we let them down, because we said we want a revolution, because we declared the restoration of independence, but we failed to give the boys what they need in order to protect themselves. We talk, we want restoration of independence. We talk, we are at war, but we don't equip the boys. People will raise money to equip the boys on the ground. The money ends up in diaspora. For you, it's okay, and you don't want people to talk about it. But then, when the boys are killed on the field, you go and you type "rest in peace," right? But the cause of their death, you don't want to address it. But every day we type "rest in peace." Every day we type "rest in peace." Every day we type "rest in peace." What have we become, Ambazonians? What have we become? Their lives doesn't matter anymore. It is the life of politicians in the diaspora that now matters. Their policy is what matters, irrespective of the consequences of what this policy is costing on the ground. And we sit quiet. And then when someone gets up to think about it, talk about it, you make them your enemy. This is the exact same thing we have seen in La République, and that's why it's become a shithole country. Things are going wrong. People sit quiet. They see it going down the drain. The country is going down the drain. Everything is falling apart. People sit quiet. I won't sit quiet. Conscious Ambazonians will not sit quiet. I won't sit quiet. When our own brothers and sisters are being killed on a daily basis, and we could have done something about it, and we can do something about it. We've adopted a mindset, not a revolutionary mindset. We've adopted a dramatic, comedic, political mindset. We must change. We must change. Give you a perfect example. If we believe we are Ambazonians, when this massive amount of money was raised, and then all of that money disappeared, has any of your leader ever held someone accountable to produce that money? No. No one wants to talk about it. Yet, that's the money that was raised for what? The money was raised to arm these boys on the ground. At the same time, we have abandoned that. Now we've moved into something else. But guess who is still running the same program? The exact same people that raised the money, embezzled the money, they've moved into another program, and you sat quiet. And you think, out of a sudden, you're going to get a miracle? When you put the same system and you're expecting a different output? I'm sorry, Ambazonians. We are responsible for our own problems. Because we are no longer in a revolution. We're in a different game of political interest. We have lost the purpose and the sense of essence of who we are. It seems as if the people of Ambazonia have been brainwashed by something. So I'm here to get up, to rise up, to get up, to wise up, to ask us, we either change now or we let what is happening continue. And we're going to lose this revolution in less than no time. Why do you think out of a sudden, Paul Biya has made the calculation to take our leaders that were incommunicado and now he put them in his concentration camp? Kondengi. Why do you think he made that calculation? Because he has made a military security assessment on the ground and realized that he doesn't need them anymore as political leverage. He doesn't need them anymore as political leverage. He has sized up what his military can do. They have sized up what we are incapable of doing and realized that they can literally end the revolution through military action. And then they have the kind of dialogue they want to have, which is an internal dialogue, which can only take place within Cameroon. They have sized the whole situation up. And that's why yesterday, they've taken your leaders that were in their maximum security prison or a hold-up place in Sed. And now they've moved them to Kondengi. Because they have calculated what we are doing. You understand that? If you don't understand what is going on, you get caught up, Ambazonians. It's time to change. It's time to change, or it's time we perish. It's time we change. We accept that what we are doing, it's not working. And have the guts and have the courage to step up and demand that change now. Or we keep going down this path, and I guarantee you, in less than 6 weeks, this revolution is over. And the people that wanted the revolution to come to an end will have the joy to go sit down with Paul Biya in a very weak state and accept 10-state decentralization. And then they have their positions. But by then, you have lost family members. We have lost family members. We have lost now more than 158 villages that are completely razed down. We have lost more than 5,000 people, according to the Center of Human Rights and Democracy in Africa. 600,000 people have been displaced. You must understand what is going on. The policies that have been put in place are not for your best interest. If they were to be for your best interest, you would have been seeing the results on the ground. They are not for your best interest. Let nobody deceive you that they are for your best interest, because if they are for your best interest, you'll be seeing the equipment going down every month, every week. You'll be seeing equipment every week. You'll be seeing some of those boys having AK-47 every week. So a lot of what is being put in place is not for the interest of the revolution. If you don't understand that, I don't know what else I can tell you. The money is going in every week. The money is going in every day. So every week, you should have been seeing new AKs on the ground. Every month, you should have been seeing AK-47 on the ground. Not those boys being killed with Dane guns when more than $900,000 has disappeared and nobody wants to give an account for it. And then every week, every month, money is being raised, but our boys are still using Dane guns. Tell me, when was the last time you saw a group of 5 boys with new brand AK-47? Just 5. When was the last time? Just 5. When was the last time? I'm not talking about 10 AKs in a group. When? Wake up, Ambazonians. It's time to change, or we let ourselves be defeated. That choice is ours. Let me say this. If you were born in occupation, it's not your fault. If you were born in occupation, it's not your fault. But to live and die in occupation, it's your fault. Let me repeat this again. If you were born in occupation, it's not your fault. But to live and die in an occupied territory, it's your fault. If we were born in colonization and annexation, it's not our fault. But for us to allow ourselves to live and die in an occupied territory, that's our fault. Why? Because the moment you were born with two factors: time and change. First, you were born at a specific time, and during that specific time, there were specific changes that were taking place in that society. So what is the essence of your birth? Let me take you now to my second point, which is leadership lessons for Mancho. Mancho BBC understood this. Mancho BBC understood that he was born at a time where he was born in an occupied territory, in a territory that was annexed, in a territory that was in neo-colonialism. Mancho BBC decided to do something about it. Mancho BBC didn't just sit quiet about it. Mancho BBC didn't just accept the conditions with which he was born in. Mancho decided to rise up. Mancho decided to stand up. Mancho decided to launch the coffin revolution, carrying a casket to the center of the city, that he's ready to be buried. He's ready to die and be buried in his own coffin than to live in occupation, than to live in an occupied territory, than to live in repression, than to live in subjugation, than to live as a slave. Mancho BBC chose. Mancho BBC understood that he was born in occupation, but he has the choice not to live and die as an occupied person. And Mancho BBC decided to launch the coffin revolution. Tassang understood he was born in those conditions, but he doesn't have to live and die in those conditions. Tassang understood that our educational system has been francophonized. He went through that system of occupation and francophonization and decided that he wouldn't let the next generation to go through that. If you were born in occupation, it is not your fault. But to choose to live and die in occupation, that's your fault. If we were born in occupation and annexation and colonialism, it is not our fault. But to accept those conditions, that's our fault. To live under those conditions, that's our fault. And that's what we can change. You can't change the conditions with which you were born in, but you can change the conditions with which you live in. We can do something. Tassang decided to create change. Mancho BBC decided to create change. That's leadership. Wirba. Here is a man who found himself when the revolution started and our children and our brothers and sisters were killed, raped, robbed in the mud. Their dormitories, their rooms were broken into. Their things were stolen. Some disappeared. Wirba decided that even though he's in the lion's cage, he also decided to be a lion himself. He decided to confront the lion. He decided to confront the occupation right inside their own parliament. Wirba was born in occupation, understood the system, but chose not to live and die in that system. And he launched the phrase, when resistance, what did he say? Right? What did Wirba say? When injustice becomes what? When injustice becomes what? I think a policy, then resistance becomes what? A duty, right? So when injustice becomes the law, resistance becomes a duty, right? He launched that, and that changed the face of our revolution. Then here comes Justice Ayah, a man who has served under those systems, a man who's been very vocal about the future and the system. What happens? Even though he was picked up and locked up, he's always been vocal, because we have a choice. Just because we were born in occupation doesn't mean we have to live and die in occupation. And today, as a Supreme Court justice, forced into retirement, picked up, locked up, forced into retirement, what happens? Just 3 or 4 days ago, Justice Ayah, at his age, decided to give up everything about his own life and return to active duty to fight in that same system, because he understands it so well, so that he can fight and defend the rights of our children, our brothers, our sisters, our parents that have been adopted and incarcerated. That's leadership. What about Balla, head of the consortium, picked up, locked up, because he preached what? Federation. Was locked up. What happened when he came out? He was silent for a while. And then he sat and thought about within himself and said, who am I? Why do I have to accept this? Why do I have to be quiet? Just because I was locked up, they cannot silence me. What happened to Balla? Balla went through a resurrection, right? And a reawakening, right? What is he preaching now? What is Balla advocating? He's traveling the world and talking to world leaders that they must call for a referendum. He's talking to world leaders and giving them the statistics that more than 158 villages have been burned down. That more than 600,000 Southern Cameroonians have been displaced. That more than 100,000 are in Nigeria. And more than 2,000 Southern Cameroonians are all over the prisons and concentration camps of La République du Cameroon. He's now out there advocating for the world that the only way to permanently solve this solution is to give the people of Southern Cameroon the choice through a referendum for them to decide their own destiny. You understand that? This is what these leaders, these are lessons of leadership we all can learn from these leaders. They didn't just accept the conditions as they are. They decided to be men of change. To be men, quality leaders that stand for the demand of change. Not people that accept conditions as they are. Don't accept this revolution the way it is going, because it's not working. Demand change. Stand up for change. It is not Sarko's revolution, neither it is Mark Barretta's revolution, or Eric Tato's revolution, or an Ayaba revolution, or an Akwanga's revolution, or John Bakoro's revolution, or Elvis Kometa's revolution. This is your revolution, Ambazonian. If it's not working, stand up and demand the change. This is your revolution. This is your future. You want to live in occupation, or you want freedom? This is not a political contest. The lives of our people are at stake. This is not a joke. The people that have embezzled all of that money that was raised, how many of them they've put them in jail? How many? How many people have been, have accepted responsibility? How many? But they want to put General Aroke in jail. Or not want to. They've put General Aroke in jail, right? They said they must bring order to the revolution. If you want to bring order to the revolution, first of all, start to bring order into the institution you call government. When more than $900,000 is raised, and how much went to ground zero? Why don't we start there before we even try to go to ground zero? Why don't we start there? Why don't we start to bring order to an institution we call a government we said we want? Why don't we start there? Why don't we? When money that was supposed to arm these boys on the ground has disappeared in thin air. But we want to go impose authority and cause confusion on our people. Failure. Failure. When people are failing in what they said they want to do and they don't know how to do it, they always find someone else to blame. The lives of our people are at stake. Biya has sized up this revolution, and that's why he can take Siseko, Tassang, Galamfo, and the rest, and just said, okay, now they can go to, I can send them to that. I don't really, they are not a political asset for me anymore. Now I can put them to the regular prison. What happens when they take anyone to Kondengi? What happens? What happened? You know the outcome. The next thing is what? They take them to military tribunal and then they sentence them. You know that, right? He knows that. This is what we have allowed to happen. This is what we have allowed to happen. And I hope leaders will have the courage enough, just like Dr. Kwanga has did a few days ago, where he stood up and took responsibility for what happened in Pinyin, where a few of his soldiers, through one of their commander, went out of code of conduct, and they behaved in a way that is not consistent with their training and the philosophy of Sokadev. And he came to the Ambazonian people and offered his apology. I hope these leaders that have embezzled all this money will come to the Ambazonian people and offer their apology. And also, at the same time, let the Ambazonian people know who amongst them really embezzled that money, so that the Ambazonian people can hold these people accountable. If they can hold General Aroke accountable on the ground, which through that process cost the life of General Amigo, they should also do the same thing in the diaspora. Don't you think? They should do the same thing. My next point, a message to IG's Restoration Council Chairman, Comrade Elvis Kometa. This is for Mr. Kometa. I've had the chance to speak with Mr. Kometa. Mr. Kometa also happens to be the chairman of NCNC North America. And I hope you remember the NCNC has been one of those leading organizations that has kept the flame of our revolution burning through time. You know that, right? So the fact that he is the chairman of NCNC North America, which means he's played an extraordinary role. But now that he doubles as IG's Restoration Council chairman, then I think he has a special responsibility for this revolution. I think the fact that him being the Restoration Council chairperson, the things that have been happening within that organization of the interim government have happened under his watch. If the NCNC stands for our liberation, and now he happens to be at a place where he could have done something, and he can do something, my question is, why has Mr. Kometa why has he been so silent? Why has he been so quiet? The the chairman of NCNC, and also the chairman of the Restoration Council. With all the ineffectiveness, with all the policies that are not working, with all the embezzlement, with all the corruption, with all the scandals, why is this noble man quiet? Why has Mr. Kometa not addressed the Ambazonian people? This is the man that is supreme, that is beyond Dr. Sako, who is the acting interim president. So why is Mr. Kometa quiet? So if this revolution is failing from that standpoint, then Mr. Kometa also has a role to play. He has a role to rescue the interim government. He has a role for the restructuring of the interim government. He has a role because that's why he's been made the Restoration Council chairman, which is an advisory body to the interim government. So, Mr. Kometa, sir, today I want to ask you, as your son, don't let this revolution die. For most of your life, you have worked very hard, and here is where we are, where we have a chance to be a free people. Don't let this revolution die. For most of your life, you've advocated for the freedom of other people. Through your organization, the NCNC, you've advocated for Southern Cameroons. Now we're in a revolution when we have a chance to be free, to be liberated. Don't let this revolution die. Every day, you also watch the videos of our young boys and girls, our parents, our mothers, our homes being razed down. We sit quiet. Why? We raised money. It doesn't get to ground zero. Why? Why, sir? Why? What are you protecting? Why are you there as the Restoration Council chairman? If it's not to deliver. Because the interim government, for the purpose for which it was created, was supposed to be the unifying force that brings all the energies and groups and personalities and skills and talents of the Ambazonian people to prosecute the revolution. Why haven't you done that, sir? Why haven't you lived up to the expectation for what that institution was created for, sir? Why haven't you restructured that interim government to reflect the intentions, the standard, the purpose for which it was created for, sir? You have a chance. But time is not on your side. You either want to go down in history, in the history of this revolution, as someone who stood up for the Ambazonian people, or as someone who was just there for the position, just like the president of La Republique Constitutional Council, who was just there for the position and the benefits of the position. You have to make that choice. But the Ambazonian people will be the judge, and history will be the judge. It's in your hand. Do the right thing. In conclusion, I want to remind us, the Ambazonian people, that as much as this revolution has revolutionary leaders, you have leaders of the group of the interim government, you have leaders of the group of the African People's Liberation Movement, you have leaders of the group of AGC, Maurice, Republic of Ambazonia, the consortium. But at the end of the day, this is the people's revolution. At the end of the day, this is your revolution. At the end of the day, it is not so much the interim government or Sako or Elvis Kometa or Dr. Akwanga or Bo Herbert or John Bakuro. It is not so much that. At the end of the day, it's the collective mindset of the Ambazonian people. At the end of the day, it's either we continue down the path of playing politics and groups game, or we reorientate our mindset to understand this is a fucking revolution. And we are dealing with a monster and a dictator, an international conspiracy that do not care whether 5,000 people have been killed or not. That even up till today, when you have 600,000 people displaced, you have about 120,000 people living in Nigeria, when more than 5,000 people have been killed. The international community and international organizations are quiet. So if you think your life matters, you better think again. Our lives should matter to us. We have to prove to the international community that we are in a revolution. We mean to gain our freedom. We mean to gain the restoration of our independence. And we will no longer accept occupation. And we will no longer accept occupation. We have to prove that to the international community. If the international community has not moved to our side, even though in the last 2 weeks they have been talking, but they have not been taking any action whatsoever, it's still at the level of just talking, then we have not done the work we're supposed to do. Well, I'm very happy that my friend Mark Barretta has actually come out today. The man of the People's Platform has actually come out today and wrote an extensive article about the interim government and why it needs to be restructured. I'm very happy with the progress of my friend Mark Barretta. But we have to go beyond trying to protect people and a group. We have to go beyond trying to protect people and a group. We have to put the revolution first. Not people first or group first. The revolution must come first. We must put the nationalism of Ambazonia first. We must put our people on the ground, their lives first. Not people. Not people in positions. Not trying to protect positions and private and personal interest. Not that. Every Ambazonian first. The people on the ground first. Those boys that are standing up to defend and fight for us all first. Before any position and any group. Revolution first. Come back to the spirit of the revolution. We should not give Bia the chance to have made to size this ineffectiveness and inefficiency, because our people are afraid to get leaders together, raise funds together, direct every penny to ground zero. But instead, we are very happy to come on social media and fight to protect groups and interests when every day our boys, our families are being killed on the ground. Villages burned down. We must go beyond these tendencies. We must stay on the path of purpose. We must stay on the path of nationalism. We must stay on the path of we must stay on the path of liberation. We must liberation. The fight for the quest of restoration of our independence. That's what is first, Ambazonians. And any leader whose policies, whose philosophy, whose behavior, whose action is not towards that collective liberation, I'm sorry, they are playing politics with your lives. Stop giving them that power to play politics with your life. When the intentions are not for the liberation of Ambazonia, but the intention is how quickly can I go sit down with Paul Biya and cut a deal? Cut a deal on what terms? When Ambazonia has not even become a contender? You can't cut a deal from a position of weakness. Then you get what the occupier offers you. We must make Ambazonia a contender. We must make all the 13 counties be boiling. You remember when Manyo, all the way from Nsanakan to Agbokem Jaman, to Badje, to Ebinsi, to Kesham, to Kembong, to Eyimojok, to Upper Bayan. You remember? Where everywhere in Manyo was the hotbed of the revolution. You remember? You remember when Kumba and Muyoka and Jakiri, Bello, Mezam. You remember when all of those areas were hotbeds? You remember? You remember? When the occupier was disoriented because they don't know when the next attack was going to come from. You remember? You remember when they used to take down the terrorists? 4 here, 3 here, 2 here. This has happened here every single day. You remember? That was the revolution you were excited about. Because you could see the winning trajectory. You were excited. That was what pulls you to believe in this revolution. You know what works. We must make Ambazonia a contender. We must put ourselves in a position where they beg to negotiate. We must focus in the next few days. Something great is coming. Something extraordinary. A synergistic system that puts the interest of Ground Zero supreme. It's coming. It will need your total support. Where all the generals and all the commanders on the ground, they have reconstituted themselves to take charge of Ground Zero in order to stop all the craziness. They need our support. This revolution is about to take a different radical turn for our collective good. Where the politics of the diaspora ends in diaspora. Where the structures on the ground, the military self-defense structures on the ground, with departments, will be leading Ground Zero, will be taking charge of Ground Zero, will be maintaining the integrity and the peace on Ground Zero. They will be rooting out to make sure that our children are not being kidnapped. That all this kidnapping, all this taking of ransoms, all these things will end. They will need your help. The energy of this revolution must be redirected back to Ground Zero. And I'm delighted that our commanders and generals on the ground have come together and create these systems where they all work collaboratively. They all work as a unit, as a group, as a team. Whether it's intelligence gathering or intelligence sharing. Whether it's resource mobilization. Whether it's determining a strategy and what equipment are needed. They will be responsible. Diaspora will no longer dictate on self-defense policies on the ground. The generals and commander have reconstituted themselves. And for me, this is the hope for the revolution. And for me, that is the path to make Ambazonia a contender. They will need your help. They will need your help to change the game on the ground. Our generals and commanders that have reconstituted themselves to make Ambazonia not just ungovernable, but to make Ambazonia a contender. To stop all the nonsense that's going on the ground. and put the revolution in a trajectory where the world and la Republique know we have gotten to a place where Ambazonia has a stronger voice on the table. They will need your help. We must get out of politics, back into the revolution. We must make Ambazonia a contender. So in the next few days, I'll be getting some more information. I'll be coming back to you to talk to you. But for now, I need just 10 people. I need 10 people, just 10 people, 5 plus 5. I need 10 people. I need 10 serious Ambazonians. 10 serious Ambazonians. The launch will be in next week. These generals and commanders are about to launch. The launch is coming up. But I need 10 Ambazonians, 10 serious Ambazonians that are committed to the revolution to contact me. 10, just 10 serious Ambazonians. We need to get things moving fast. We need to get this revolution back to the trajectory of winning the revolution. So we need to act fast. I only need 10 Ambazonians to contact me. And here is my WhatsApp number. Only contact me if you're serious. The number is +1 905 782 0911. The number again is +1 905 782 0911. As I've said, I only need 10 serious Ambazonians that are outside. Either you are within Ambazonia or outside of Ambazonia, but we prefer people that are outside of Ambazonia. Just 10 people. Contact me if you are really serious to change the direction of this revolution. Only those that are serious should contact me. Just 10 people. We need to change the direction of this revolution. If you don't like the way things are going and you think with the structure that they are setting up on the ground, we can change the direction of this revolution, then be one of those people that are patriotic and nationalistic enough that want this revolution will succeed. You should only contact me when you are serious and you want a victory for Ambazonia. All right? So you have the number, you can contact me. I look forward to chatting with you. I look forward to talking with you in the background. For now, let the generals and the commander do the background work. This is not social media work. This is not work that is going to be on social media. When the time is right, the generals and the commanders will be talking to you. Okay? For now, we only need 10 people, 10 serious people to contact me. That's all. And that's my message for you for today. Have yourself a great evening. Stay strong. Stay empowered. No matter what is happening, we will win. No matter what is happening, we will succeed. No matter what is happening, no matter what the international community says or BIA does, we Ambazonians will be free. Okay? I'm very hopeful and I'm very happy with the developments on the ground, with what the generals and the commanders are doing. Now we just need the support of the Ambazonian people to give them what they need to get the job done. All right? So Ambazonian, thank you so much for watching. Please, before you go, just share this video one more time to get our people to be inspired, to be educated, to be elevated, to know that there is hope for our revolution. In spite of the killings and the burnings, Ambazonia will succeed because we have decided to be a contender. Thank you. May God bless you. Have a good night. Love you guys.